Hi everyone, I am Rebecca from ChemKnits, and today it's time for another round of swatching some of the new to me Dharma acid dyes. I just want to take a quick look by throwing some of these powders onto some yarn in a pan to get a little bit of a sense of the hue, a crude sense of whether or not they might break, and yeah, and then once we get like a sense of the colors, we'll go on and create like a random colorway using probably mostly these tones, but I love doing these and I'm really excited to see what these hues are like and then also decide what other colors I need to add to my arsenal. The color family today is mostly green. We've got teal green, sage leaf, avocado, emerald green, and then there is some delphinium blue, and the outlier is purple pop. We'll see how that layers in with the rest, but it is one that I have not yet tested out. In my dedicated catering steam pan, I started with 4 cups of water, 2 tablespoons of white vinegar, and I have added 100 grams of KnitPicks Stroll fingering weight yarn. This yarn is 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon. I have also added on a nylon zip tie so that way I can flip the yarn over with ease. Since we are going to be using Dharma acid dye powders today, I will be wearing some personal safety equipment. When I'm dealing with the powders, I will be wearing gloves, which I'm not wearing yet, on my hands. I will be wearing a respirator so that way I don't inhale any particles, and some clear safety goggles. You can find links to all of the equipment and everything I'm using and the yarn, affiliate links in the video description. Let's start with a little bit, and we're going to be adding just a tiny bit of purple pop. So that's probably a little more than a tiny bit. And I've heard that this one breaks. So this is one I am really curious about. After I add each one, I do want to sort of smush it down a bit to get a little bit of a feel for the hue. It does look like there will be some purple and pink breaking here. I'm not sure if it's a concentration difference, but it is looking like we might see some breaking. Next, we are going to try a little bit of sage leaf. This is another one that I've heard breaks, and I wish I'd added a tiny bit more, so I'm going to take another pinch. Ooh, right away, it's looking a little bit teal. Oh yeah, that's great. I see sort of both green and blue in there. That is really, really pretty. I'm not sure how much that comes up on camera, but I really like it. Next up, we have some avocado. And again, just trying to take a little bit of the powder. Avocado is another one I've heard breaks. So I do see sort of what looks like some olive and then some more teal hues in there, which is really, really pretty. I'm not sure if any of this breaking is something that would show up with dip dyeing or not, but that is something that I will definitely be testing at some point. Next up, we have emerald green. It is definitely worth noting that the colors you see on the powder don't necessarily translate to the colors you see in the yarn. This looks like a really nice green. I'm not seeing any breaking necessarily off the bat, but it does look like a really, really sort of perfect kind of green. Next up is teal green. Grab a little bit. I mean, I would say that this is pretty true to its name. I did add a fair amount of it, so we're seeing it rather saturated. It does have a nice relationship, I would say, with sage. Finally, the last color from today is Delphinium Blue, which the powder looks like a really beautiful purple that I want to play with. Oh, I see some breaking in there. With the Delphinium Blue, I see some red and blue sort of speckles in there. Ooh, that's a really pretty color. It is worth noting that if we see any speckles when we're speckling onto the pan, that doesn't necessarily mean that we will see breaking when we do dip dyeing. To see breaking with dip dyeing, you need to have two different rates with which the colors will bind the yarn. And whether it's just, the rate, or if it's an acid concentration or heat, those factors are all really important to sort of get things to work perfectly in the end. The better indication of breaking is when you see sort of a difference in the halo. And some of these differences, like in sage and delphinium, well, purple pop isn't subtle, and maybe avocado, it can be really subtle here, but you might see a difference when you dip dye in those colors. And so I'm planning a Dye Pot PS episode where I will be playing around with that. But I did want to sort of get a quick sense over whether any of these colors would break before I started mixing dye stocks to pick which colors I wanted to mix up for that video. And these three colors right here were recommended to me as ones that break. One other thing worth noting. I've heard that purple pop is a notorious pain to get all of it to absorb. Yeah, I think that those blues go, and then there's just going to be a lot of pinks. They can involve a lot of washing. Need a lot of time. But I feel like that there's color left in many of these spots. I think what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add a little more, I'm going to add a little more water, a little more acid, and then we can start, and we're going to layer some of these colors on top of each other and see what we end up with. Here's 2 cups of water with 2 more tablespoons of white vinegar, adding mostly around the edges. We're now not in quite as much of a low immersion territory as we were, but yeah, I just wanted to sort of increase the water levels a little bit to help some of these colors absorb. But now let's just have some fun and layer on some colors with these powders. Let's start with a little more Delphinium Blue. Have some on that spoon. I will be washing and drying off my gloves in between each of these different colors. And I'm not even necessarily going for speckles here, but I will be, after a little while, I'm going to let them sit for a bit, and then I will be doing some, touching the sun to help some color spread in, but the goal is really just to have some fun. Next, I'm going to come in with just a little bit of purple pop in some places. I feel like this is bright enough that if I don't add a little more of it, it might not feel super balanced. Emerald green is coming up next, because again, I feel like this color might feel missing if I don't. Okay, so that's sort of like a first level, and now I am pressing through. I don't mind if there is going to be some white space in here, and it's not that I'm trying to blend these colors out per se, or even tone them down, but and there will be some speckles left. It's just sort of a starting place, if you will. Alright, I think that I want a little bit of teal. And we're still going to have to do the other side. Sort sort of going for spots that maybe feel like they have a little bit missing. I'm going to reduce the heat to low since we are splattering up a bit. But yeah, we're just layering these tones. And these are all tones that I think if they were to get totally mixed together, they could end up starting to look a little muddy. But, you know, this little bit separate, I think that they're looking really, really wonderful. And press down in some of these areas. Like as I said, I am planning to add some colors to the other side as well. But for now, I am really excited with where this is going. There's definitely a lot of color that has not yet absorbed. And you can see I'm even shifting some colors in there. Since there's only one skein of yarn in here, ultimately we will get more depth than if I had like 2 or 3 skeins in here right away. I mean, you can see we definitely have some whites underneath. Again, I'm planning on doing this on the other side, but I love the way this is going right now. So at this stage, I think I am going to keep this on low heat for 15 minutes. And then we'll take a look and potentially flip over to the other side. Let's take a look. Okay, I see, and I'm not surprised, there's still some pink behind. There's little bits of a few colors, but we are still gonna flip. What might happen is the overall brightness of some of this might dull down, but, you know, I have heard purple pop is tricky. Let's flip this. And oh, that's not as much color as I would have expected given the, like what I was seeing. Let's see. So I want to open this up, trying to make sure I'm looking at, you know, the other side of the yarn. Some areas where we might have a little bit less color. And just spreading things back out. I could I'm even going to move the tie or the zip tie so that way I can get access to the yarn. Cool. Now let's start dyeing this other side. Let's start back up with some Delphinium Blue again. I feel like that this color is sort of the neutral of this whole project. And which is funny, but the way that it breaks, I think, works really, really nicely for tying everything together. A little bit there. Do a little more here. I thought I was going to avoid using any more purple pop, but I do want just a bit more of it in some of these spots. I like that brightness it brings. Let's go through and sort of pat this down a bit. Let some of these colors spread. So that way we can get a feel for what we might want a little more of. But actually these are striking reasonably quickly, which is kind of cool. How are we doing there? Okay. Trying to like pull and poke. So that way we expose. There we go. Some areas where we might want a little more. Just a little bit. But in some of these areas. This is so beautiful. I'm sort of poke these down, sort of bring out that green in areas. The nice thing is that the way that these colors are blending, some of the more muted tones from like the sage and the avocado come through from like the pink and green mixing. So there is some balance in there. I do think I want to hint more teal though. Maybe I'll regret not grabbing a little more of the avocado. I'm not 100% sure yet. But right now I'm sort of going for areas where I see a little less pigment overall. I don't mind if there's pastels. What I don't want are just like pure white patches left. A hit more there. Ah. Here we go, that's where I wanted some. Okay. Alright, and now I'm going to come back in. Ooh. Yeah, the teal's sort of like spread a bit nicely. Okay, so this has a more muted feel now than it did maybe on the other side, but oh, I love what we're seeing. I'm going to go ahead and let things sit for, I think, another good 15 minutes, and then we'll come back and take a look around. This color is feeling like a perfect secret garden, and I love it. Let's try, actually a lot more of the color has absorbed than I thought. The heat is still on, it's very low, and yeah, we've got some pastel patches, but overall I think we've got this really awesome sort of greenish colorway with hints of pink and purple, and I am living for it. Oh my gosh. Yeah, most of the color has actually absorbed. Oh, what was I saying? Hello, Purple Pop. All right, a lot of the color has absorbed. There is definitely still some purpley business in here. So what we are going to do is add some more vinegar. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more tablespoons of vinegar. I do also want to add a little bit more water, and I'm going to add 2 more cups of water. Maybe I'll go ahead, I have like, okay, it's about 6 tablespoons of vinegar and 2 cups of water. I might still want to add more vinegar in a little bit, but I'm sort of moving this all through, and part of the reason for adding the more water is so that way we can get that dye, that little bit of extra onto the rest of the yarn. Alright, I'm still on low heat. I'm going to let this sort of heat on low for another, I think, 15 minutes. The 15 minutes are up. There are a few lightest patches, but I am so thrilled. Yeah, we've got some pinks left. I'm going to turn off the heat completely now and leave this in here. It is hot. Actually, I'm going to jack the heat up a little bit before turning the heat off, just so that way, you know, we can raise the temperature and then slowly lower it. Let this cool off in here, and I'm going to go ahead and add 1, 2 healthy splashes of vinegar, just to try to temper that color bleeding. But again, it's not bad, and Yeah, I'm not as afraid of this as some people have made it come out to be. But yeah, I am going to sort of bring this up so we see a bunch of bubbles, and then I'm going to turn off the heat completely and let this cool for a while in this dye pan. The yarn has cooled off completely, and there is a hint, like if I tilt it, maybe you can see there's a hint of pink in here. For reference sake, let's grab a skein of dry bare hawthorn, just sort of add it in, see if, yeah, I'm not seeing really any, oh funny, there may have been like one, oh no, that's just a piece of fiber, not even a speckle. I am not observing any significant color on this yarn. Maybe there is the barest hint of blush here, but overall I would say that all of the color is in our lovely, lovely yarn. Just to show how beautiful, beautiful this yarn is. And now we are going to start washing it. This is the first yarn that I have ever dyed with the infamous purple top. This is a color that dyers either have to have and say it's one of the best, or people hate because it bleeds a lot. But looks like, I'm not sure if it's because we added that little, not even a yarn mop, there was like a hint that looked like it was left behind, but yeah, it seems to all be in here. I just added some clear dish soap. Now granted, we did leave this in the pot a long time, so that way we could absorb a bunch of the color and add acid, but I think if you're patient, yeah, you can have some good luck. I would say that if you have a dye pot and it's not exhausting, definitely throw a spare skein of yarn in there. I think that that might be a nice way to help soak it up. But I am seeing no bleeding here. Anyway, I'm going to go take this yarn, put it through my Nina Soft spin dryer, and then hang it up to dry. Well, this yarn was a happy accident. This is the third, quote, color swatching video I've done like this, and each of these colorways have just blown me away, and I've just been so impressed with how the final colors turn out. I'm not sure if it's just, you know, my gut as I see how the colors are playing together or what it is, but something about how these get born versus when I go and intentionally aim for a colorway. Maybe I need to randomly pull colors to swatch and combine more in the future just to see like where I end up, because this has to be one of my favorites ever. This yarn is full of green, teal, purple, and a bright pink, and really makes me think of a secret garden. If there were one negative to this colorway, it's probably this patch of a more olive green right here. It leans a little bit brown, and I feel like it doesn't necessarily fit with the whole theme as well as it could. And this was likely the avocado swatch in here. And so I do wish that I had taken a little bit of this color, just hints, and maybe added it in some other places to balance that out. I think this is one of the reasons why I've started making sure to take a picture of the yarn all laid out for my shop now. I want to make sure that something doesn't feel hidden, that you can get a sense of all the colors involved when you might be shopping for some ChemKnits Creations originals. I have swatched or played with all of the Dharma acid dyes that are currently in my collection, but there are so many available colors and I own so few of them. And so I know that certainly within the next couple months I'll be placing another order to bring more colors in to play with. I will be playing with this combination of emerald green, delphinium blue, teal green, and purple pop in the future. This isn't the last you've seen of it, and I'm just really excited to explore this combination of colors more in the future. I am Rebecca from ChemKnits, and if you enjoy my tutorials and my approach to dyeing, and you want to support the content that I'm creating, you should become a ChemKnits patron. Patreon is a platform where viewers can support the content creators that they really enjoy, and I offer really cool perks like early access to new content, behind the scenes sneak peeks, and even shout outs in videos and advance notice of shop restocks. Above all else, make sure that you are subscribed to the ChemKnits Tutorials YouTube channel so you never miss a new video. And if you enjoy a video, please give it a like and leave a comment. All of this support means so much to me, and I am just so excited for the rest of the colors that we are going to create this year. Thank you so much for watching.